Did you know that small mistakes on the BARF diet can forever compromise your puppy's health? In this video, I reveal the 5 most dangerous mistakes that tutors make when offering natural food, and show how to avoid them in a simple, practical, and safe way. A complete guide to ensure your dog grows strong, healthy, and full of energy. Watch until the end to learn how to put together a balanced weekly plan and avoid hidden risks that almost no one talks about. Imagine the scene. You bring a puppy home, full of energy, running around the room with that innocent look that mixes curiosity and absolute trust in you. At this moment, every tutor feels the same responsibility, to offer the best to that little being who depends totally on their care. It is at this point that many decide to follow the path of natural food, known as BARF, biologically appropriate raw food. The idea seems perfect. Fresh food, without chemical additives, without unnecessary grains, rich in nutrients and close to what dogs would eat in nature. But there is a detail that few comment on. If applied incorrectly, the BARF diet can turn from a solution into a silent threat, especially for puppies. This is because the body of a growing dog is extremely sensitive. Every bone, every muscle, every organ is still in formation. A mistaken proportion, in the choice of ingredients or even in the way of serving, can compromise health forever. The first danger lies in inadequate bones. It is common to hear that raw bones are fundamental in BARF, but not all of them are safe, especially for young dogs. Some owners, ill-informed, offer cooked bones which fragment into sharp splinters capable of perforating the intestinal tract. Others offer bones that are too large and hard, which are not only impossible for a puppy to chew, but can also break teeth that haven't even completed the exchange. The scene may seem simple, a puppy chewing on a bone, but behind the scenes, the safety of the entire digestive system is at stake. The correct choice is always for raw, soft bones compatible with the size of the dog. Chicken necks, wings, or cartilage are much more suitable and safer. Another fatal mistake is to assemble a dish without nutritional balance. Many believe that offering pure meat is enough, but meat alone is only one part of the equation. A puppy needs calcium to form strong bones, iron for the blood, zinc for the immune system, vitamins that are only found in organs such as the liver and kidney. When the dish is composed only of muscle, the consequences do not appear on the first day, but weeks or months later. The tutor notices the dog that is apathetic, has difficulty leaning on its paws, or has skin problems. This happens because the skeleton grows without adequate support, and vital organs do not receive the necessary nutrients. It's like trying to build a house using only bricks without cement or foundation. And there is also the danger of hasty introduction. Many, excited by the idea of eating naturally, put everything on their plate at once. Beef, chicken, fish, liver, assorted vegetables, egg, and even yogurt. A puppy's stomach is not prepared for this abrupt mix. The almost inevitable result is diarrhea, vomiting, refusal to eat. Worse, the tutor cannot identify which ingredient caused the reaction, and this hinders the entire adaptation process. The safe way is to present each protein separately. For a few days, observe the behavior, the feces, the energy. Only then move on to the next one. Haste, in this case, can be costly. Another mistake, which seems small but has profound impacts, is to ignore essential supplements. The tutor thinks that meat, bones, and vegetables are enough to make a perfect meal. However, in puppies, the absence of omega-3 sources can harm neurological development, affecting learning and balance. The lack of vitamin E generates oxidative stress, leaving the body vulnerable. Without probiotics, the gut flora is unstable, and any dietary changes can result in inflammation. Many only notice these effects months later, when the dog begins to have chronic problems and associate them with external causes, without imagining that the origin is in an incomplete dish. But perhaps the most dangerous mistake is the isolation of information. This happens when the tutor decides to go it alone, without guidance from a veterinarian with experience in natural food. Each puppy has particularities. Some grow too fast and need adjustments in the amount of calcium. Others are predisposed to dysplasia and need careful monitoring. Others develop specific allergies that go unnoticed. A generic plan, taken from the internet, may even seem practical, but it hardly meets the individual needs of each animal. At this point, the owner runs the risk of turning the good intention to eat better into a serious health problem. The most curious thing is that all these mistakes come from the same motivation: love. The tutor wants the best, but the lack of technical knowledge creates loopholes. Therefore, the main message is clear. BARF can be the best choice for a puppy, as long as it is done consciously. The basis of everything is correct information, daily observation of the dog, and the search for professional guidance. To understand the severity of the most dangerous errors in BARF for puppies, we need to look at the actual impact of each decision on the developing body. Imagine an organism that grows every day, bones lengthening, teeth changing, muscles expanding, and organs maturing. This accelerated growth requires an almost surgical nutritional precision. When a tutor makes a mistake in choosing a single ingredient, he may be altering the balance of this entire process. Let's start with the inadequate bones. Often, the owner chooses larger bones thinking that this will stimulate chewing or clean the teeth. But in a puppy, the milk teeth are fragile, and tooth exchange is not yet complete. A bone that is too hard can fracture a tooth, or worse, damage the root of a permanent tooth before it even erupts. Another risk is to offer bones that are too small, which can be swallowed whole and cause obstructions. There are reports of puppies who needed emergency surgery because they swallowed a piece of bone that blocked their stomach. The owner often only notices when the dog is already vomiting nonstop and refusing food. Therefore, the fundamental rule is, bones are always raw, soft, proportional to size, and under constant supervision. Then there is the nutritional imbalance. The owner may believe that he is offering a full meal because the bowl is full of fresh meat. But pure meat is not synonymous with a balanced diet. The correct proportion of BARF was not created by chance. It exists because each food group fulfills a vital function. Raw bone provides calcium and phosphorus. The organs offer vitamins A, D, E, iron, and copper. Vegetables bring fiber and antioxidants. When one of these components is missing, deficiencies do not appear immediately but accumulate silently. In the case of puppies, the calcium deficit, for example, can lead to rickets, which deforms bones and joints. Lack of iron, on the other hand, can result in anemia, leaving the dog apathetic with pale mucous membranes and a drop in energy. Another problem that seems harmless but is devastating is the hasty introduction of food. Many tutors, driven by the excitement of seeing the dog eat healthy, end up offering a huge variety in the first week. The puppy's body, however, works as a laboratory in adaptation. The stomach and intestine need time to learn how to handle new proteins. When the owner puts chicken, liver, fish, and vegetables all together, what happens is a digestive collapse. The dog has intense diarrhea, may become dehydrated, and the tutor, frightened, ends up giving up BARF, returning to industrialized food. This creates the false impression that the natural does not work, when in fact, the mistake was haste. The introduction should be gradual, one food at a time, observing the feces, the disposition, and even the skin of the animal. This simple care avoids most of the difficulties in the transition. Now let's talk about something that goes unnoticed by most: the absence of essential supplements. A well-intentioned tutor can assemble a dish with varied meats, soft bones, and even fresh vegetables. But without supplements such as omega-3 and vitamin E, the result is still incomplete. Omega-3, found in fish such as sardines or krill oil, is crucial for the brain and vision development of the puppy. Without it, the animal may have learning difficulties, motor imbalance, or even joint problems early. Vitamin E, on the other hand, acts as a protector against oxidative stress. Imagine a puppy's body growing fast, with cells multiplying at high speed. If there is not enough vitamin E, this process becomes vulnerable to silent inflammation, which in the future can manifest itself in skin diseases or immune problems. And we come to the fifth mistake, the most serious: lack of veterinary follow-up specialized in BARF. Many owners believe that it is enough to follow a recipe found on the internet or listen to the experience of other owners. But each puppy is unique. Some have a genetic predisposition to dysplasia, others have intolerance to certain proteins, others need adjustments due to very fast growth. Only a professional can evaluate blood tests, monitor the development, and indicate the necessary adjustments. Skipping this step is like trying to fly a plane without instruments. It may work for a while, but the crash is almost inevitable. The beauty of the BARF diet lies precisely in the possibility of customizing the diet for each animal, but this is only possible when there is proper guidance. Without it, the risk of deficiencies or excesses increases considerably, and in the case of puppies, the impact is even greater, because any mistake made in the first months of life can reflect throughout the adult phase. Therefore, each tutor who decides to adopt BARF needs to understand that he is assuming a responsibility. It's not just about putting raw meat on the plate, but about respecting the proportions, the adaptation times, the invisible nutrients that make all the difference. When done with knowledge and care, BARF can be transformative. But when done in a hurry and without guidance, it can be as dangerous or more dangerous than the poor quality food that is tried to be avoided. When a tutor chooses the path of natural food, the expectation is to see the puppy grow strong, with shiny fur, inexhaustible energy, and iron health. But for this scenario to happen, it is necessary to recognize the warning signs that indicate that something is not going well. These signs, often subtle at first, are the key to quickly identifying if the puppy is suffering from any of the 5 most dangerous BARF mistakes. The first sign comes when there are problems related to inadequate bones. Puppies that receive bones that are too hard or in improper sizes may have bleeding gums, chipped teeth, or even refusal to chew. It is as if the animal instinctively realizes that that food is not right for it. Another alarming symptom is choking. A piece of bone that is too small can become lodged in the throat, causing persistent coughing, noisy breathing, and even choking episodes. If the owner does not notice these signs, he may think that the dog is just learning to eat, when in fact he is in immediate danger. The second sign is nutritional imbalance. It does not manifest itself abruptly, but in small changes that accumulate. The puppy may show slow growth, difficulty supporting the weight of the hind legs, brittle nails, and apathy. The fur loses its shine and begins to fall out in excess. Many owners, when they see these symptoms, resort to special shampoos or isolated vitamins, but do not realize that the root of the problem is in the plate. The absence of sufficient calcium, for example, makes bones fragile and joints unstable. The lack of iron and zinc leaves the immune system vulnerable, making room for recurrent infections. The third sign appears when the introduction of food has been done in a hurried manner. The puppy's body responds immediately with frequent diarrhea, loose or intensely odorous stools, occasional vomiting, and even refusal to feed. The intestinal flora, still in formation, cannot deal with so many different proteins at the same time. It's like overloading a computer with dozens of heavy programs at once. It crashes. The owner, frightened, often believes that the dog is sick, when in fact it is the body asking for time to adapt. The fourth sign is linked to a lack of essential supplements. This is the hardest to notice because the effects are silent and long-term. A puppy without enough omega-3 may seem healthy at first, but over time it shows difficulty learning simple commands, has motor incoordination, or is more vulnerable to joint inflammation. The absence of vitamin E, in turn, can result in skin problems, hair loss, and premature cellular aging. The lack of probiotics can be seen in frequent episodes of gas, intermittent diarrhea, and even behavioral changes linked to intestinal discomfort. And finally, the fifth sign, the most dangerous of all, comes from the absence of specialized veterinary monitoring. This error does not have a single symptom because it opens the door to a number of problems at the same time. The puppy can grow disproportionately, have difficulty walking, develop undiagnosed allergies, or even accumulate excess of certain nutrients that, instead of helping, intoxicate the body. A classic example is the excess of vitamin A, common when the owner offers liver in large quantities without knowing that this vitamin accumulates in the body. The result can be lethal. Only a professional with experience in BARF can evaluate blood tests, analyze growth, and correct these imbalances before they become irreversible. Behind all these signs is the clear message that natural eating requires constant observation. The tutor needs to look beyond the bowl. You need to observe the brightness of the eyes, the firmness of the paws, the consistency of the feces, the willingness to play, the development of the coat. Every detail is an indicator of how the puppy's body is reacting to what it receives on a daily basis. And this is where a crucial point comes in. BARF is not a fixed revenue. It is a dynamic process that must adjust to the individual needs of each dog. If the puppy shows signs of discomfort, the tutor needs to adapt. If growth is accelerated, the proportion of calcium needs to be revised. If there is persistent diarrhea, it is time to take a step back and gradually reintroduce food. This flexibility is what differentiates the conscious tutor from those who just copy ready-made menus without understanding the logic behind them. We have reached the point where all theory needs to be transformed into practice. After all, there's no point in knowing the 5 most dangerous BARF mistakes for puppies if you don't know how to avoid them on a daily basis. Therefore, let's build together a safe, balanced, and adapted weekly plan, which will prevent your dog from suffering from deficiencies or excesses. The first step is to understand that BARF is not improvisation. The image of opening the refrigerator and putting any piece of meat on the plate does not work for a growing organism. It takes structure. For a puppy, the basis of the diet should follow an approximate proportion that respects the natural balance, about 70% between raw meats and meaty bones, 10% vitamin-rich organs, 10% safe vegetables and fruits, and 10% complements such as eggs, natural yogurt, fish, and seeds. This division is not a whim. It reflects the way the canine body absorbs nutrients completely. A practical example. On Monday, you can offer raw chicken necks combined with a little liver and grated carrots. On Tuesday, lean beef with heart and lightly steamed pumpkin. On Wednesday, chicken wings with beef kidney and a small portion of apple. The idea is to alternate proteins and vegetables so that the puppy's body receives the greatest possible diversity of nutrients, without overloading. This alternation also helps prevent food allergies, which are common when the dog is repeatedly exposed to the same ingredient. Another essential point is the gradual introduction. Never start the week by offering everything at once. If the puppy does not yet know fish, for example, present a small portion in a single day and observe the feces, energy, and skin in the following days. If there is no negative reaction, you can include the food more often. This care avoids digestive problems and allows you to easily identify any intolerance. Supplements are another indispensable pillar. Omega-3s should be present at least 3 times a week, coming from safe sources such as fish oil, krill oil, or fresh sardines. Vitamin E can be offered naturally through foods such as egg yolks or small portions of seeds, always adjusting to the amount of fat present in the diet. Probiotics can come from natural kefir or yogurt without added sugar, strengthening the intestinal flora. By securing these points, you protect your pup's brain, joints, and immune system, drastically reducing the risk of future problems. Another aspect that many overlook is the exact amount of food. Unlike adult dogs, which only need maintenance, puppies need energy to grow. Therefore, the daily amount should be approximately 5 to 10% of body weight, divided into 3 to 4 meals a day. This calculation must be closely monitored, as each puppy has a different pace of growth. If you notice very evident ribs or excess fat, it is a sign that the proportion needs to be adjusted. But above all, there is a recommendation that ties the whole plan together. Follow up with a veterinarian specializing in BARF. This professional is not only used to authorize the diet, but to guide adjustments, request periodic blood tests, and interpret signs that may escape the owner's gaze. He is the one who ensures that the path chosen is the safest for your dog, transforming what could be a risk into a source of vitality. And if you still have doubts about whether it's worth so much care, just imagine your puppy in a few years. An adult dog with a firm posture, strong bones, well-formed muscles, a shiny coat, and a disposition that reflects every choice you've made right now. This is the future that natural food can provide. But that future depends on the decisions made today. By avoiding inadequate bones, ensuring nutritional balance, introducing foods calmly, not forgetting supplements, and seeking specialized follow-up, you not only protect your puppy from the most dangerous BARF mistakes, you give him the chance to live longer and better. BARF, when done correctly, isn't just a diet. It's an investment in health, vitality, and longevity. It is the most direct way of saying, without words, I take care of you. I want you to live by my side for many years, happy and healthy. And now that you know the 5 most dangerous mistakes and know how to avoid them, the choice is in your hands. Turn mealtime into a conscious act of love and responsibility. Your puppy deserves this care,